Hey, this is Rob Equiza, and we are inviting you to check out our new album, The Elusive Asylum. It's out now on streaming services, and we got CDs as well. If you want to buy, just send us a message. And this is Music Existence. Because of music, we exist.
I'd like to welcome back on to the channel my friend Rob Equiza. As of today, July 30th or July 31st in Rob's time, his new album, The Elusive Asylum, is out, freshly out now. So we are celebrating that release. This is the follow-up to his EP, a combination of originals and covers called Neither the Nether Nor the Needle. And this is a very expansive one. This kind of goes back to his kind of grungy and kind of more spacious sound. And it's a really involved listen, so I am very excited to have back on and very delighted. My friend Rob Equiza, thanks so much for coming on, man.
How you doing, Jake? I'm always happy to be here. Always happy to, be in front of you and talk about stuff, music existence. Thank you for having me.
hmm And so, like, you've spent, like you told me off screen, the last 7 months
Mm,
kind of promoting your rotation of singles. And now we
mm,
get to experience the full 12 track, experience, if you will, of
that's
the
right.
album. So, yeah, tell me, following up from Neither the Nether Nor the Needle, tell me where the
Hmm.
Elusive Asylum came to be. What does this like represent at this stage?
Yeah, well, the Elusive Asylum has always been the planned next release after we released the first album, Refugees.
hmm
Um, Pretty much the tracks on there were already cemented, but there were a couple that were switched. But it's always been the plan. But life happens. Life happens when you're busy doing other things. So we did a tour of Thailand and Jakarta.
hmm
So in the meantime, I've released a few singles and a couple of EPs. One with the band, and another which is an ambient art rock electronic, just by myself.
hmm
And by the end of the year, thankfully we've finished the whole album, and we released it on January on Bandcamp. So it has always been around since pretty much the start of the year. But
hmm
for major streaming, we just released one single every couple of months. So currently, it has five singles out. But as you said, today the whole album is now on major streaming, so it makes it easy for everyone around the world to access that.
Yeah, it's really good. You
Mm,
have like
mm.
Terrains was a
Oh yeah.
song that really kind of resonated with me, and also like
Mm,
Revel Passengers, and that like fits very well into the theme continuing off of
mm,
refugees,
mm.
sort of finding your own voice and standing up for yourself kind of amidst the noise. Tell me about like how those songs in particular sort of encompass the theme of the album.
The whole album is not that, I don't see it as like a cohesive kind of
hmm
of a story that's kind of narrated from start to finish. It's not like a concept album like Pink Floyd.
So it's
It's
more like
it's
a series of
it,
like vignettes, right?
exactly like vignettes of which is gelled together by certain themes of push and pull, being searching for that home that you wanna reach, because like I said, it's a continuous. We've talked before that the Elusive Asylum was going to be a continuation of refugees.
Right.
Refugees is being like nationless, having that individuality, and on Elusive Asylum, you still want to belong, but at the same time, you don't feel that you can't find any other places that you actually belong to. So there's that hesitation, and there's that yearning, but it's all part of that phase, like we
Hmm.
all go through as human beings.
Yeah, and I like the title Elusive Asylum. It's like
Mm,
something that you've been yearning for, that you're searching
mm,
for, but with
mm,
the asylum, it's like
mm-hmm.
even though you've been searching for it your whole life, you're still
Mm-hmm.
confined in a way. So
It
the
is true.
Elusive
Mm.
Asylum is about like struggling to find your voice in a sense.
That's correct. That's correct. And it can be interpreted in a couple of ways. The
Hmm.
original meaning of the word itself, asylum, is it's a place to to have that safety.
Hmm.
That belongingness, that being protected. It's home basically. But
Oh, okay.
uh,
So it's
yeah,
more like a,
that's the original meaning of the word. Yeah,
oh wow.
but
So
because of the mental hospitals, being called asylums in this century, it has had that negative connotation. So it
oh,
can be interpreted that way as well.
oh wow. So you're
Yeah.
saying
Mm.
asylum in the
Mm.
original sense, the rooted sense is like a
Yes.
sanctuary almost,
Sanctuary. That's a
a
perfect word.
place
Yeah.
of belonging. But because of
That's
the
correct.
negative
Mm.
connotation, especially
Mm-hmm.
in recent years, and by recent we
Right.
mean in the
Mm.
last century, like you mentioned,
Mm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
taken on to like a
Mm-hmm.
negative conversation, compensation. What?
Yeah.
It's yeah. So like instead of being
Mm-hmm.
like a place of belonging, a place of safety, it's a
Mm-hmm.
place of being confined, of being
Right.
trapped,
Right.
like
Right.
in an inability to branch out.
That's right. That's right. But if you look at it in the context of the previous album, which was part one, so I'm going to make
Hmm.
this a trilogy, by the way. So
Oh,
the part
okay.
one was refugees. If you look at it in the context of that, the Elusive Asylum is actually the asylum that you are looking for as a refugee. You know,
Oh,
yeah, that's
wow.
exactly what I was aiming for. But lots of people have already, assumed that the asylum being mentioned in the title of the album is the asylum being confined to a place where you don't want to be in.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
but it's
mhm.
pretty much acceptable. All art is subjective. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I kind of like how the album flows. You start out like with
Mm-hmm.
the bangers. You have Great Attractor, Microphone, and Birds, which were like your heavy tracks, like right off the gate. The
Mm,
first side,
mm,
actually, I guess like you'd call it like one through four, more like, is like
mm-hmm.
very heavy just right out the gate. And then
Mm,
you know like Great Attractor, there's some irony because it's all about
mm.
being kind of repellent in that
Yeah. Yeah.
regard. And then
Yeah.
like it fits into Microphone, and then Birds is
Mm-hmm.
like, Birds is like the life of a bird, like outdoors is
Mm.
like kind of fleeting. And like
Yeah.
there's a sentiment of like, aren't you glad you're still alive? Aren't you glad you're a bird
Mm.
that like
Mm.
lasted beyond your short 8-year life? You know,
Ah.
that's what I gleaned from
I love
it.
I love the specificity of that, man. Yeah, those first three tracks, we call it the Isolation Trilogy. It's pretty much, being like understanding that you're different from these people. You're kind of pushing them away because you, the vampirism has been extreme
Right.
for so long. So in fact, I just made a this DIY all the way, baby. I just made a cassette of
Right.
that trilogy, and that's basically the reason of us putting those first three tracks on the album. It's the one-two punch, All
Okay.
great
Or
albums,
one, two,
especially
three
rock
punch, if you will.
one,
Try
yeah,
punch.
exactly. Like if you listen to like Nevermind, if you listen to like the debut of the Clash,
Right.
even like Massive Attack, the first three tracks on Mezzanine. Oh my God! Like it just gives you it makes you hold on to the album and make you want to listen to it all the way through.
And I
Mm,
love it. It takes you not
mm,
only through a variety of sentiments, but like um and I'll use like a a title of one of your
mm.
tracks, Different Terrains, because terrains is
Yeah.
an example of
Mm,
that,
mm,
traversing through like, different avenues of belonging. And then optics is kind of like
mm.
when you're kind of lost in the haze and your vision
Yeah.
kind of gets
Mm,
blurred. And I love
mm.
how the guitars get super thick but also like very misty, and like
Thank
the
you.
bass is like very high up, like very high to
Uh.
match with like
Mm,
the thickness of the guitars. Like it's almost like being in like a
mm.
place where you're like just surrounded in like this thick like fog, and like
Haze,
your
right?
vision, like
Yeah. Yeah.
optics, is like your
Uh.
vision kind of coming in and out and in and out.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love that description right there. I think I was listening to a lot of Smashing Pumpkins at that time when I wrote the song, and especially when I did the production. And we didn't want to really make it sound like Smashing Pumpkins, but the influence is right there.
Right.
Yeah.
In a way, it is like with the very sludgy kind of murky guitars, a la
Murky. Yes.
Smashing
Yeah.
Pumpkins.
Yeah.
We mentioned Catherine before. That sort of like
Mm.
kind of like underground sort of Chicago sound in general.
Chicago sound. Yeah, the indie
Yeah,
Chicago sound in the 90s,
like
early. Yeah, yeah.
very like
Mm.
sludgy kind of blown up guitars with like
Yeah.
pop sensibilities.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't want to ever lose my pop sensibility.
No.
And that's I think that's kind of like the push and pull thing that I have because I want to be kind of punk, but like hardcore punk can't embrace you if you have a pop sensibility. They
Right.
always want to be like, all this machismo stuff. But the truth is, there's a lot of punk that actually has very melodic stuff on there.
Sure.
Like even the pioneers in the UK had all of that stuff. So I
Right.
I I love pop and rock being mixed together. Just the right amount of that pop sensibility.
Yeah, it's really cool. And again, like
Mm,
when you get into Bittersweet Cocktail and then after that Hello
mm,
Danger, like them
mm,
together, they
mm,
represent like again chasing that sense of freedom, but also that sense of danger, that sense of unpredictability. The bittersweet
mm,
cocktail, like you're chasing this,
mm,
this sense of freedom, like instability, unpredictability, all in one,
mm,
and the
mm.
cocktail is gonna, it's gonna kind of burn going down, but
Yeah,
you need
yeah.
that in your life. You need that,
Mm,
like,
mm.
when you find a sense of belonging, when you finally take the
Mm.
reins for yourself, like cut the cord, that's when you
Oh yeah.
really start making
Mm.
progress.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that you use the word unpredictability.
Yeah,
Because you always have to kind of surprise your listener the audience, because if your music is too predictable, then it's just gonna get lost in all the noise. You gotta have that kind of surprise in there. I think it's Singh who said that music is all about surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Being himself influenced by Bach. And even if you go to the oldest kind of music, the most artistic are those that are not predictable at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was George Orwell who said consistency is the refuge of the unimaginative. We gotta
Yeah.
have that
Yeah,
imagination,
because
Yeah.
sometimes in some ways consistency can be viewed as stagnance, and like that always
Right.
plays a part in relationships
Right.
that ironically are unhealthy, very
Yeah.
much unhealthy,
Yeah. Yeah.
without that sense of consistency, without that sense of even routine, like they can fall apart. But like you
Yeah.
said, this can be interpreted in so many different ways. That's the beauty of it. And what I
That's
like
correct.
about Hello Danger is you're almost like after trudging through like the fog, the the mountainous terrain, what have you. Hello Danger, it's almost like you're coming across an old friend again. You're re like associating yourself with that spark again. So,
Oh
how
yeah.
did Hello Danger come about, and especially being used as a single?
Couple of well, no, I'd say one, two, three, about 3 or 4 songs on here are from my demos from like a decade ago, and
Wow,
Hello
yeah.
Danger is one of those
Well,
songs.
it's the
Yeah,
perfect
so
driving song. Like, even like
it
when I
is.
told you
Yeah,
where I was at, like that was like
yeah.
on the drive,
Uh huh.
to and
You're playing
fro,
it.
if you will. So it
Yeah.
was a perfect driving song, man.
Yeah, especially with that plucked guitar
Yeah,
all throughout, all the verses. I always wanted to have a driving song. One of my favorites, all-time favorites, is "Rear View Mirror" by Pearl Jam, because
right. Yeah, yeah.
so I love that kind of those kinds of songs.
And
So I
so
always
Hello
wanted to
Danger
have
like
one.
kind of
Hell,
follows
dangerous.
within. Yeah.
Yes, definitely, definitely. But to be honest with you, how it came about lyrically, I didn't know. I didn't know what it meant. It just came to me. I was doing this riff, and the lyrics just came to me just naturally. There are songs that we write that happens that way. So I try to understand what the real meaning of this song is, but it still escapes me, man, until now, even after a
Yes.
decade.
So it's like
Yeah, but
even like you're still trying to, that's interesting. You're still trying to comprehend it even now,
yeah,
even in retrospect, even when you have like a much better grasp on it, it still kind of surprises you in that way. Hence
yeah,
like the
yeah,
danger.
yeah. So if it's a person, I know what it looks like. I know what I know its face. I know everything about it visually, but I don't know anything about its thoughts. So
Right.
so it's a
Yeah. So it's
stranger to
danger. It's
me.
it's mystery. It's like,
It is. It
yeah.
is. It is. Yeah. 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 So, so that's. I'm just glad that I was able to re-record it with the whole band, and the reason why I made it I made it as one of the singles is because it's the most accessible one, man. Like
Right.
anyone who hears it from the very start of the song, just it hooks you up. It just lets you listen to it all
I even
throughout.
told my friend that I was
Yeah.
working with Hello Danger. She was like, "What is like the most accessible song? What's the most like
Yeah.
go-to song on that album?" I said, "Hello Danger. That's the one.
Hello, danger.
That's gonna hook
Definitely,
you in."
definitely,
Um,
definitely, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then after Hello Danger is kind of Watchful Eyes. Now, is it like Watchful Eyes from like a bystander standpoint, or is it your own
It's
Watchful
yeah. It's
Eyes?
it's 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 from other people. It's basically like the 1984 George Orwell. Yeah. So it's this is from standpoint of the government playing you, you know, the authorities. It's I wrote this. It's also an old song, by the way. So
Right,
I wrote this at the time when there was too much, and there still is, gun violence in my hometown,
right.
and this is a critique of that.
Wow.
And that's why you have that part of like a crabcore metal
Yeah, yeah,
thing
yeah, yeah,
in the yeah in the ad lib. So yeah, so it's kind of like that heavy.
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
probably say this is the heaviest stuff on there, apart from the rock punk songs
Yeah, I
in the
just
start.
you mentioned
Yeah.
like a really
Mm,
good point of
mm,
Watchful Eyes. I remember
mm.
it changes its tone partway through and it gets
Yeah.
heavier and then it like really
Mm.
breaks down. And like you said,
Yeah.
that sort of
Breakdown.
crabcore kind of thing. And
Yeah.
it leaves a lot of, it still leaves a lot of air, even with
Mm.
the involvement of the heaviness. And
Right.
my favorite
Mm-hmm.
song on the album that I think I can relate to
Mm.
the most is the not the penultimate one, but well, I do like Rebel Passengers, but I
Mm.
also like the track before that. That's Sunday Painter, and I like
Yes.
how like the sweet and sour dreams they dissipate.
Mm.
It's almost like you're you're channeling what it's like to combat like an artistic slump and you like papers and papers spread
Yeah.
around and like
Yeah.
I can definitely see that as a music video. I can definitely see that because you
Well, thank
definitely
you.
have paper around. You definitely write
Yeah.
a lot. You definitely
Yeah.
you do a lot of art. So
I think it's the POV of you know of a guy um, working tirelessly, endlessly, day by day in an office,
right,
and then when it comes to to pursuing his passions, he doesn't have time for it anymore, and he's too
right,
afraid to actually get it out there because he might be judged. And a lot of people are in that position. There's a lot of really great artists full of potential that are just unknown because they're too afraid, and
yeah,
they're also like tied to their jobs,
right, yeah,
and the wor- and that title Sunday Painter is basically like a Sunday painter. Like there's artists that just paints during the weekends, especially Sundays, and because the rest of the week they have to do their job. And I got that term from this film. I think it was probably Steven Spielberg who directed it. I'm not sure, but it's called Big Eyes. It starred Amy Adams and Christoph Waltz. A true story about a woman who was a great painter, and her husband took the credit for all her stuff. I think back in the 70s, something like that. Yeah, great film, great story.
wow. So
Yeah.
that definitely fits in. There's this
Mm,
game called Persona
mm.
5. I don't know if you're familiar with the
Persona
Persona
5.
series, but
Mm-hmm.
back then, there was like Shin Megami Tensei was the series,
Mm,
and then when it was localized in America, it was called Persona. Might be even
mm-hmm.
after your time, but um
Mm-hmm.
anyway, there's this artist who's one of the villains that you take, one
Mm-hmm.
of the antagonists, and
Mm-hmm.
he takes credit for this his name is Madarame, and he
Mm-hmm.
takes credit for this painting um
Mm-hmm.
that this guy, one of the characters' mother drew,
Mm,
and
mhm,
like she had a seizure, while he was, with her. And rather than doing anything to help her, he just waited until she died and
What an
then
a-hole.
he took the credit, and then there
Uh,
was a baby in the original painting, and then he
mm,
covered it
mm,
up with like a shroud of mist to do
okay.
like mystery. It's really horrible. And that kind of I haven't seen the film that you're referencing, but I can
Mm.
tell like when
Remember from
it's
that. Yeah, yeah,
powerful.
yeah.
It's
It
powerful. It
is.
gets
Yeah,
you like
yeah,
really angry like when you
yeah,
see
yeah.
like other people like taking credit for, an honest
Oh
artist's
yeah,
work. It
yeah.
is, but back to Sunday
Mm.
Painter, it's
Yes.
like you're right. You're so right about um Sunday being the lone day that someone has to
Mm.
be creative. And
Mm.
even when it's a day of relaxation, historically,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like
Mm.
crunch time because there's always so many hours in the day. And like I mentioned,
Yeah.
there's that struggle
Mm.
on top of it
Mm.
to
Yeah.
crunch everything in during just that
Mm.
one Sunday, right?
Exactly, exactly, and that's why in the recent years I've been advising a lot of my friends who are artists as well, especially those who are in bands. I've been advising them to not wait for the weekend or your day off to actually do what you want to do. You
Yeah.
know, like recording or rehearsals. You can if you have like just at least 1 hour or 2 hours, during like in the middle of the week, like a Wednesday or twice a week, and like maybe like Tuesday or Thursday, do it because we only have like 54 weeks in a year. Is that right? Something like that. Okay. Um, and if you count that, that's not a lot, man. Because we also have like vacations. We also have like like things and other friends or families that we go to during weekends. So we gotta like maximize
A
our
creative lapse of time that we have, right?
right. Exactly, exactly. And that's also the importance of being healthy as well. You
Yeah.
know,
You
because
got to
because if
take
you're
care of
too
yourself,
tired,
right?
true. If you're too tired mentally or physically or psychologically after work, then you're not able to do it. And
No.
that's why you got to take care of your body, of your mind, man. Yeah.
hmm
Mm,
that's awesome. And when we get to
mm,
the penultimate track, that's Rebel Passengers. And
mm,
that is like what I surmise about that. Like even it's a very encouraging song. It's anthemic because it's
mm,
saying that even the like most average everyday sort of schmo in the
mm,
universe has
mm.
something that they believe in.
It's true. That's true.
Yeah. Something
Absolutely.
that they could,
Mm,
defend
mm.
and stand for.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So like and in Rebel Passengers too, it's almost
Mm,
like, you see the guy in command. You see the guy
mm,
in front of you in the driver's seat
mm,
taking the wheel,
mm,
and he's
mm,
either drunk or he's not paying attention on the road. But you know in the
mm,
world what should be
mm,
done, or in your province what should be done, or in your
mm.
town what should be done.
Or
And
in your country.
yeah, you're so eager
Yeah.
to take
Uh,
that wheel, and
yeah.
you
Yeah.
have to
Mm,
rebel because if you
mm,
don't, then
mm.
that guy is going to potentially steer you off a cliff. So, Rebel
Well,
Passengers, what's your
most
take on
especially,
it?
most especially if if that driver has already done a lot of damage. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I think we're thinking of the same thing in terms of of situations, the parallelism of the U.S. and the Philippines. But you can take that out if you want. But yeah, but that's a great analogy right there. It's it's because we're all passengers in this life. You
yeah,
know, it's the Earth that's moving across the galaxy and the galaxy moving across the universe. Yeah, and circling around this great attractor. We're constantly moving, and we're all just passengers here. And when we die, we're no longer passengers. And what have we contributed to this world when we're gone?
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
what is the legacy, and what effect did you actually make? What's your contribution?
Right. And then
Yeah.
it bleeds into the last track called 11:17. It's like you promised yourself to be in bed by 10:30, but for some reason at 11:17, which ends in an odd number, you're up just randomly and you're questioning every single thing. What does faith mean? What does my purpose in life mean? What does this all mean?
What does God mean?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's like so many different interpretations throughout the world.
What is good and what is bad?
Yeah.
It seems into it drifts into philosophy.
Yeah.
Because ultimately this is a song that I wrote as like a message for my kids.
Right.
And the reason for the numbers is the years that they were born.
Right.
So respectively, it's 11 and then 17. Yeah. So, it's all the beliefs that I have at this point, in life, and it might not change anymore because I'm at this stage, at this age. I'm already like this is like the prefrontal cortex is already like solid, but But yeah. So it's all the questions and all this, morality, all this. It can sound a bit. What's the word, brother? What's the word, Jake?
Kind of blunt, kind of out there.
Pedantic, actually.
Yeah, pedantic.
Pedantic.
Right.
Yeah, it can sound pedantic, but I can't help myself. I think there's a lot of my works that
it
comes
speaks
out.
to vulnerability, It speaks to like being. It speaks to like uncomfortable thoughts.
Right.
Your stuff, your whole system is like, and I've had those nights where I'm just like, where it just like bubbles up on the surface and you just cannot get back to sleep because it's just like keeping you up at night.
Absolutely. We all have that anxiety that we get every now and then, especially before sleeping. So turns out you are one of those.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's
that shows that you're my whole life,
definitely. Yeah. And that shows how intelligent you are. There's this theory that the most unhappy people, the more intelligent you are, the more unhappy you are.
I wouldn't say unhappy. We're very cynical in some ways, but we find enjoyment in more like little things.
Well, that's true. But the thing is, there's so many things that we question, not just our surroundings, but also ourselves. We criticize ourselves more because we know what is right, what is the right thing to do, and if we made a mistake, we actually berate ourselves more.
Man, we ruminate
than the other
on
people.
it like years later.
Exactly. Sometimes I'm taking a shower and I just remember something that's really bad that I did, and I just
like 10 years ago, like
10 years, like 20 years ago. Yeah. But it's it's a human condition.
Yeah, and then like just like considering, your career thus far and what you've learned, the questions that you've asked, the stylistic and thematic terrains that you've traversed, what have you learned about yourself this July 30/31, 2026? Not only as a musician, but as a person.
Well, it's an ongoing journey, man. Like we never stop growing, we never stop questioning, we never stop realizing things in this life, especially about ourselves. So I've come to terms that I am able to do what I intend to, not the perfect way, the
Hmm.
ideal, but I am able to do it as long as I give it, as long as I give it time.
Right.
And I have realized as well that it's not healthy to always be a perfectionist
Hmm.
when it comes to looking at your observing your community.
Right.
So you gotta have that. You gotta have that variation in a community, even in
Right.
small circles. There
Hmm.
has to be like different colors, different types of everything, because that's what the world is. That's what
Hmm.
life is. It's convoluted, it's a mess, but overall, it just it fits together like a puzzle.
Hmm. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it fits together like a puzzle with very
Mm.
misshapen and very mismatched places, but
Yeah.
somehow it all fits
Somehow,
together.
it all fits together. Exactly.
It needs
Like,
like a little bit of adhesive, a little bit of twist, a little bit of turns, but if you can make that shit work, you can do it. Oh
if
man.
I may add, stylistically, you know, early on,
Yeah.
and you met me when I was like a grunge, super
Yeah,
grunge heavy
grunge,
fan, right?
like
Like,
transitioning out of
yeah,
the folk sort of thing. You still
yeah,
had folk
right,
elements, because
yeah,
you
yeah,
sent me like folky
mm,
kind of stuff, but you had a little
yeah.
bit of avant-garde, but you were still kind of grungy in
Yeah,
that
yeah.
way.
I was like this serious artist at the time. Like I was like, it's either like hard rock, grunge, or like folk, like Neil Young and Bob
Yeah.
Dylan. That's all the stuff I made at the time. But in the past year, well, since last year, I think I came out with Bystanders, and then there's this Can't Be Said Enough, and it's more radio friendly stuff. And
Right.
I've decided that I can carry over those kinds of themes on here to the second album, because I don't want to be seen as this too serious artist, because we can have fun, and
Right.
that's
Yeah. It's
that's the
just like
reason why.
birds. You didn't just write birds. You
Yeah,
said birds. And
birds,
then like,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And it speaks to you in microphones, like going back to microphones, like you go back to this like kind of angular, kind of quippy, kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of
Oh
stylistic
yeah,
sound.
tongue in
Very,
cheek. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. And that's also the reason why I think this is the two songs on here are I think the kind of prog,
Yeah.
bittersweet cocktail, and
Right.
watchful eyes, and that's the reason I wanna like explore more in a songwriting side. So I never did like funky vibe before, but
Right.
I integrated that in bittersweet cocktail, and
Right.
again the crab core part on watchful eyes. So it's fun to discover yourself trying out different things. There's still a
Hmm.
couple of genres that I wouldn't dare go into though, but
Trap.
yeah. I'm
Cloud
not
rap.
saying.
You can sing, you can do like a little bit of shoegazy element, but you're all about like pure rock and Rob in rock and
Yeah,
Rob
yeah,
in
yeah. Bobby Keys.
Bobby Keys, Bobby X. Yeah, because Akiza is X,
Akiza.
like Dos
Yeah,
Equis, like the beer.
yeah.
But
If we have if we have like a Spanish speaking audiences of music existence,
yeah,
just a quick question though, what does Ikiza actually mean on there? I mean, I googled it, and it's mostly about equality and stuff. But is it like just a last name, or is there like a root name for it? So just putting it out there to all you Spanish speaking peeps there. So
yeah.
what's Ikiza?
What does
Yeah,
Akiza mean? What does Akiza
yeah,
mean dictionary wise and
mm.
personally
Yeah.
wise?
Yeah, because it could have different meanings in different areas of the world, even provinces of certain countries. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Lastly, anything
Hmm.
you'd like to say to your fans?
I don't know. Listen to the album. We've worked on this tirelessly. No, well, it's an on and off work. I'm I'm still not satisfied with it, but I'm not, like I said, I don't want to be a perfectionist because it just stalls you. It just stops you from making more stuff. If
Yeah,
if
if
you
you're
failed
fully
on,
satisfied, like
yeah,
there's a chance that like
mm,
you can rest on your laurels and then like
yeah,
stop creating more. If
yeah,
you're not satisfied, you know there's
mm,
still work to be done in the
yeah,
future
yeah,
so you can put out more
yeah.
shit.
Yeah, I don't know who said it. I think it's Einstein, but he said that the phrase is genius is someone who knows that they're good at something, but they can still be better. They can always still be better, you know. And you always have to chase something. And if you worked so hard on one thing, then it might stop you from doing it again.
Yeah, very
You
well
know.
said, brother. Thank you so much for
Right.
taking this
Thank
time.
you. Well,
It's
thank you.
yeah, it's very late where you are, but I appreciate you um
I
taking that
appreciate you,
time.
brother.
Yeah, you better ship me some stuff when you
Yes,
can.
I will. Yes, I will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone who wants to buy this album of ours, it's in jewel case CD. You can send us a message wherever our socials, and um, we'll let you know how much the shipping is. But it's just 300 pesos, by the way. So you do the math, the whatever.
Yeah, the
Okay,
worldwide
thank you.
math, and it's very affordable. He's not
Hmm.
gonna, you know,
No,
kind
we
of
don't rip
lowball you
off.
guys. He's a very good
Yeah,
guy, very understanding guy. He knows how to market his shit. Rob, thank you so much, man.
thank you. No, I appreciate you as always, again and again and again. Thank you, my friend.